Welcome back, YouTubers. Johnny Boy Lopez here, back for another installment of the Indie Experiment, and I'm here with a very special guest, Micah, Diele.
How's it going, everybody?
How you doing, brother?
Doing well, man. I'm glad that you came here.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me here, man. I appreciate it, man.
Dude, it's so weird being on the opposite side
Yeah.
of like a podcast or like this type of a thing, because I'm always asking the questions. Always tell people, ask me any question you want. Not too many people ask you the questions afterwards, and then you're always like, well, just let me tell you my opinion. I'm from Merced, California, so I was born and raised in Merced. I went to either Fruitland or Franklin preschool.
Okay.
Went over to McSwain for K through 8. Then went to Buhack, and then graduated. Went to Merced College. Then went to I tried to go to. I was trying to figure out my major or figure out what to do in life, like most people, and I think that's just a common thing that's happening at our age. But so didn't know what to do. Majored in a whole bunch of different things, and then I ended up getting a degree in educational studies from Arizona State University. And the whole time, like, I don't know, like, I thought I wanted to be a teacher, and I do want to be, like, a photography teacher or, like, maybe some type of audio teacher, anything that I'm actually interested in. But I was trying to be a teacher in something that I didn't really want to do. Okay. And so now I'm just telling you about my life.
Yeah, no, keep it going, man, because that's what we're here for. We're going to get into your life, you know? So
I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And then basically after that, I just became a substitute teacher for a while. And I mean, I started a podcast recently, started a little film business with me and my buddy Jimmy, started doing what I wanted to do. Yeah. And basically, I mean, I'm born and raised in Merced, and I'm trying to put Merced on the map. That's what I'm trying to do. And I think for such a long time, Merced's got a bad rep, you know?
For sure.
And like you're growing up in high school, it's always just like, you know, oh, Merced, can't wait to get out of here. And like for the first time, I feel like this whole city, like accumulatively, is growing together. And like even with the UC, with downtown, you know, with the neighboring communities of the 209. Like,
yeah, it's all starting to blossom.
It was good. I mean, I was just typical, like, I was raised in, like, the McSwain area. So, I mean, it was just, like, I like to describe it as, like, a white picket fence area, you know what I mean? I was a little too sheltered, like, growing up. Even in high school, like, my sisters were just, are naive. I think I was very naive growing up, too. And it was just, like, funny because, like, I was way more naive than even my friends. And I don't know why this was. I don't know if my parents were, like, sheltered me too much or whatever, but I was raised like pretty Christian, always went to youth group, everything like that, had a core group of friends, and then like I'm still best friends with that core group of friends. So all the dudes I've known since I was like 10, like they're all my wedding coming up in like a few months. Like that's awesome. It's just like
congratulations on that. That's a big step in life, brother.
It is a big step. Yeah, and that's what a lot of people say. And like for me, I don't know, because I've been living with my fiance for like a year and a half, 2 years, and like I mean, this is just like life now. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, but I'm looking forward to that. But so yeah, I was raised in McSwain area. Then I went to Buhack for 4 years. I was like into FFA, pigs, and stuff like that. I was into it, but I didn't necessarily like it. Like I did 4-H, and I didn't mind 4-H, but FFA, it's like I didn't have any friends in FFA.
If you don't mind me asking, for the viewers out there, what's 4-H?
So 4-H and FFA are basically. It's basically when you see all the animals at the fair, it's that organization that runs it. And basically, as a child, you'll like buy a pig or buy a goat or buy a cow or a heifer, whatever it may be, and then you go, you raise it for like 9 months, you feed it, you have to learn how to show it, you show it in front of all these people, and then at the end of it, you sell it. Okay. You sell it to be eaten. Dude, I was just talking to my fiance last night. We were watching something, and it just reminded me of like my first pig, and I was like, oh man. And I was like, I got sad for a little bit. She, what are you talking about? And I was like, one of my old pigs. And she was like, oh, did you raise it? I was like, yeah, it's like getting a puppy. It's like getting a puppy. Like you get a little pig, and it's all cute and everything, and then 9 months later you sell it, and you're like, oh, like the first year is like when I realized I was like, oh, I can't have a relationship with this.
Yeah,
animal.
You're like, I can't get close to this thing.
Yeah. But I did 4-H, FFA, and then I did water polo and golf as well. got to, like, you know, after high school, I was like, what do I want to do with my life? And so I thought I wanted to be a history teacher. I majored in everything.
Yeah.
Like history. What else did I major in? I majored in business. I majored in anthropology. I majored in sustainability in business. I majored in education. And, like, I ended up with education. And I was just like, because that's a broader term that I could use to my advantage.
Yeah, definitely.
Like, I majored in educational studies, and I'm also proficient in, like, video editing. You know what I mean? Just, like, I just think of a way to sell myself. You know what I mean? So I majored in education. And then... for the first, I call it post-graduation blues. After you graduate college, you're kind of like, what am I doing? Like, my goal for, like, the last, like, 6 years was been to graduate college. You know what I mean? What do I do now? And it's kind of like, I took a road trip with me and my fiance, and we just went to, like 6 different states and just, like, enjoyed ourselves. It's like, I don't know what I want to do, but I just want to go. And I brought this little camera with me, actually. This tiny little Canon camera, and it still turns on. There we go. But I brought this with me, and I just was like wanted to take pictures and videos, and like I had the saturation setting like up all the way, and like when I look back at the photos, I laugh. But I took this with me, and it takes AA batteries. So like if you record for 30 seconds on this thing, it dies. So I brought a giant pack of AA batteries with me, and I was like, I'm just gonna like record this whole trip. And so that's kind of where like I started like falling in love with. Photography, videography, and even before that, though, in high school, me and my buddy Josh used to make videos every single week. Every single week, we'd make videos, and it'd be like some type of skit, funny video. We'd like do like some songs sometimes, and it was just like we're gonna drop a song video every single week, and we did that for like 12 weeks. And then, like, we got burnt out. Like, we made it a thing that we didn't have to make a thing. Yeah. But, so, the flip cameras, you remember the flip cameras?
Yeah, for sure.
So it's one of those, just running around and taking hella videos with that. So that's, like, where I kind of, like, liked to do it. I wanted to do it in college, but for one reason or another, I just didn't end up. I was just like, you know, I'm kind of discouraged away from that type of stuff, which is weird. You know, now I think it's like, we got to focus on that because kids might not be interested in the core subjects, but kids are going to be interested in, like, if they like videography, music production, anything. If we can get them involved in anything and want to do that, pursue that, like, that's what we should be focusing on. This is really where I started, like, diving into, like, I want to do photography. And that was, I graduated in 2018. And then so started using this camera, took it on that road trip, made a little film about my travels afterwards when I got back. And I've always liked video editing, and that gave me an outlet to do it. Then I bought this other camera that I was always teetering on really getting into photography. Because, like, I had this little one, and then instead of, like, jumping in and buying, you know, like a T5i or, like, anything that has a lens that comes off, I was like, I bought this other one. It was a Canon camera, and it was like basically a newer version of this one. Okay. And then I messed with that one for a little upgrade. Messed around with that one for a little bit, and then about a year later, I hit up my buddy Jimmy for this film project that I saw online. I wrote a little script for it, and then like we just started working together on it. And ever since that project in the fall of 2019. I've just been going like full immersing myself in like video and photography, and it's just a hard process because when you're getting into it, like you're always like, "Am I getting better?" Like, you never really like know until like it wasn't until a year came up from like I did this photo shoot with my girlfriend in Yosemite when I first got my camera, and then a whole year later I saw my memories that came up, and then I was just like, "Oh, like look how much I've done since then." And just since then I've just grown and grown. Always put myself into uncomfortable situations. You know, I've like. Within like 2 years, you know, I've been a part of like commercial projects, just normal portrait shoots, weddings, videotape and photography weddings, and just we got an anti-nicotine commercial coming out that me and Jimmy just did for the Merced County Health Department. That's awesome. So like it's just like it since I've started doing what I want to do, it just opened up my whole life, and that's how like this podcast got started and everything else, and I'm just so thankful that I even took that leap because for so long you're afraid. And earlier we were talking like you're impressionable when you're younger with your friends, and you know when you're younger you make fun of everybody for everything. You know what I mean?
It's easy to stray out that.
Yeah, it's easy to stray out. You could do one thing, really like it. Your friend says something, and you could just not want to do it. And I think like my common thing with my podcast is when you get to the age of like 25. it's kind of like fight or flight.
Yeah.
What do you want to do?
Yeah.
What do you want to do with your life? And so I think that's when it realized, like, I stopped celebrating birthdays at 25. I was like, oh, I'm getting old. Like,
Yeah.
I got to start doing stuff. So since that past 3 years, I've just been submerging myself in it. I majored in a whole bunch of different things, didn't really know what I wanted to major in. History, business and sustainability, anthropology, and finally I ended up in educational studies. And I decided to do that one because it's a broader thing. Like, I'm skilled in a lot of things not through school, and I think that's a cool thing about the whole photography and videography industry is there's so many people out there who never went to film school, never like majored in photography, and they are just as good, in some cases better. Even the greats, you know what I mean? It's not like Ansel Adams went to photography school, you know what I mean? It's just people who are interested in it are going to get better at it, and that's the cool thing about it. So I majored in educational studies, and that will in turn allow me to show, you know, let me show you my whole portfolio. Like if you really want to hire somebody else who has like a photography degree, can we just look at like our portfolios and see? Because I just want to show you guys what I'm capable of doing, what I'm capable of teaching, and so that allows me to do that. Question. Oh, I mean, honestly, people who inspire me are like people who are around me. People who like I think like there's also other people I'm just like you have like a dope eye. You know what I mean? But even like Jimmy's one of my big inspirations. He's like my mentor. I just look up to him a lot for just like he's helped me grow into the photographer I am. And it's cool because now it's not like we're competitive with each other, but like there's a friendly competitiveness.
Yeah,
and
for
like
sure,
you know.
for sure.
You know, oh, he's doing that. I gotta start doing.
Yeah. No, I got that with my rappers. When my boys in my crew, like, I hear a record they do, or especially if they do one together. Yeah. And I'm like, where was I at for this? Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna come in here. I'm gonna make something, and y'all better put some fire on it. You know.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
I love that.
So I mean, like him, I got my buddy Daniel, who's a really good one too. And then there's a couple. I'm trying to think if I like so bigger ones like Ansel Adams is a good one. Just you know, he's the I love Yosemite, and he's like the godfather of like Yosemite photography.
He's the goat.
Yeah, exactly. So he's a really cool one just because he has pictures and ways, and it was all black and white. And he actually started things that you do in like Photoshop. So you can like burn an image in Photoshop, you know, make it darker. It's what you do in Lightroom too. But he would do that manually with like actual fire and stuff. And he'd burn it, make it darker in some areas, make it lighter in other areas. He was like basically editing his photos
in real time.
Yeah, it's fucking wild.
That's fucking dope.
Yeah, so he would do stuff like that, and I think that's really interesting about him. And as far as like recently, or like when I graduated high school, I was always into this guy named Jacob Owens. He's this really cool film director, and he was like my age, so it was cool to watch him grow. And he's like multi-million-dollar whole like studio.
Yeah.
And it was just he started making videos for him and all his friends, music videos for him and all his friends. And he would make, I believe in the very beginning, he would make videos for free for all his friends, but his whole thing was like, I'm just going to keep them all on my YouTube channel. That's the only thing. You know what I mean? You can have them for free. And like, so I think that's how he started
gaining. Gotta capitalize on that content.
Yeah, exactly. So I think he started doing that, but then I just watched him grow, and now he has like so many businesses. It's ridiculous. But it's just cool to see people like that. There's this other guy, I forget, let me look up what his name is. I've been following him recently, and my buddy Rafa put me onto him. I'm not too sure how he knows him or anything, but over here, his Instagram name is OMG Adrian, but he's a director, and he's done like he'll do like he did like the interviews with like Lil Nas and stuff like that.
Oh wow!
Yeah, like he's like up there.
That's
I don't
dope.
even know this guy, but he's.
Yeah.
I've just been recently following him. He's pretty cool and inspiring.
That's
just
dope.
people who got it all figured out and together. You know what I mean? Because obviously, like that's the end goal.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's just a matter of getting there and seeing the avenues that different people take. And that's like this podcast too. It's like I've actually been getting a lot of like jobs through this podcast. I talk to my guests, always offer my services. In the sense like, hey, I'm a photographer, videographer. If you ever need anything, and generally after you have like an hour conversation with somebody, it's like if they do need something, they're probably going to hit you up because why would you?
And not too many people that really are serious offer their services like that. And like you said, you have a portfolio to show them, and it's not like you're just kind of saying random things to them that they're like, I don't know what to do with this. You know, you actually have tangible things that they can see and touch and feel to go off of when you're offering your services.
So that was the T7i, and that's like my buddy Jimmy was. He was like, either buy this camera or this camera, and I forget the other one was a little bit better, but I was just like, I don't like $700 is so much money for me to drop on something. Like I don't want to drop it on. I don't want to drop $1,000 and not even get a lens with it. Like you know. So I bought the T7i, and I took pictures on that for about a year and a half, and. Got just acquired lenses. I always go to the Turlock flea market. I used to live in Turlock. I always go to Turlock flea market. I've gotten like 4 lenses from the flea market. I got a lens for like $100, and it was worth like over $1,000. Like and Facebook Marketplace, man. Facebook Marketplace got my drone. I got my new camera that I use. It was like a bundle for like $2,000, but it was like a $7,000 deal. Yeah, and I was like, I'm just gonna do it, you know. But it was T7i, and then. But before I got my new camera, I was like, you know, those ones are not too good in low light, so it's very hard to make videos if it's even a little bit dark. And so, but I told myself before I get a new camera, I need to make something like with this that I feel like this camera's not going to make you better. You're only going to make yourself better. So then I got So then I did this whole little mini documentary. It was about 1 minute long about like running, and I had my fiance be the person in it, and I wrote this script because I was really into running. I've been slacking a little bit, but
it's all right. It's all right.
But made this whole little mini documentary about running, and then like after I did that, I just felt like, okay, like now I can get a camera because I showed myself that it doesn't matter what camera I have. It's just about putting my mindset into making something.
Yeah, for sure. And then after you made your first project, how did you feel once you were like?
I was happy. Like when I edited, like, it just came out like when you're out there editing. Sometimes you're like, I'm not editing. When you're out there filming, you're kind of like, I'll do this. I'll go over here, do this, you know. And I had like all the shots written down. I had the whole script on it. I have this little film book, and it just has any project I've worked on. It has my notes in it and everything. But it's cool really to look back into that because I even have ideas that I haven't even done yet. Yeah. But it just felt good watching it and like being like happy with it. And then from there, I bought that deal on Facebook Marketplace, and now I have the EOS R. So like the R5 and the R6 came out, and the EOS R was like the camera before it. That was like, so I got that one. But I still really enjoy it. I make a lot of stuff on it. A
lot of amazing stuff. You'll see his work off.
Music videos, podcast, short films. Yeah, so there's I don't know. I'm just very happy with. Yeah. You know, I've always talked about it, and even like right after I graduated in 2018, I was like, I want to do a podcast, and but I want to do this podcast called like Trail Talks, and like I used to like I'm still pretty into hiking.
I heard you and Jimmy talking about that in the first episode.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was supposed to like during the first episode it had the name Trail Talk and whatnot, but it was also like it wasn't like we didn't like set it. You know what I mean? So it ended up being Real Talk and whatnot, and the way I got into it is like I always thought about I wanted a podcast, didn't really know what it would be about. Thought it was going to be trails, hiking in the beginning, and then I think that I had written scripts for like ones about Trail Talks, made lists about like all these hikes I've been on with different people, but it's still like such a small box you put yourself in, and so that was like 2018 when I started thinking about it. Then it wasn't until 2021 that I started my podcast. So it was just basically always talking about it with my friends, you know, here and there, but it was never too serious. And then it was one of those things where it was like end of 2020, and I was like, what do I want to do with 2021? Like, I'm like, okay, I'm going to start a podcast. Like, that's one of my goals, to start a podcast. And it just started filming it in January. Had like multiple different like audio interfaces, just trying to figure out everything. It's a lot. If you're going to do it right, it's a lot harder of a process. And for sure, the whole thing that I was like, so what is my podcast going to be about? And it wasn't until I did my first 5 episodes that I figured out what my podcast was going to be about. I did the first 5 episodes. First one figured out was called Real Talk and whatnot. Then the other ones were just my friends, me getting used to it. And then I was like, okay, I need to make a promo for this thing. And then I was just like, okay, I'm going to highlight talented individuals who live within the Central Valley of Merced, and there's people in general who are passionate about what they do. And that's just my whole focus now. And it was like the first 5 episodes, I kind of needed those because it's just, to make me feel comfortable enough.
Get that groove.
Yeah, exactly. Get the groove on. And so then number 6 was this girl named Feli Rodriguez. She's the minister at our wedding, but she's my fiance's best friend. And so I had her on. It was like the first person who I didn't really know too well. And then from there, just snowballed. Got rappers, got singers, got musicians, and then it became way more of a music podcast than I expected it to be. But I also have like my friends on. I have who else have I had on? I can't even think about the podcast yet.
Yeah.
Dude, but I've had 22 episodes since February when I dropped it.
And that's quite a catalog of work.
Dude, I've been trying to do one every week, and I've done it all except for 1 week, but then I dropped 2 the next week. And I'm just really happy with the support I've gotten. I didn't really expect like anyone to care, and it's just one of those things where I didn't think I would like care about it too much, or like it'd be like this much work. And I feel like if you're going to do it right, it's a lot of work. A lot of people around here have tried to start some podcasts, but if it's just you and your friends talking shit, no one knows you, so they're not going to care. But if you have a subject to it, even like mine, it's simple. It's just putting people and the 219 on the map, and and that's all walks of people. That's realtors.
Awesome.
That's
awesome
musicians.
That's
mathematicians. Doesn't matter who you are. I just want you to tell your story, or just let's have a conversation. Let's see how your brain works. Everyone's brain works differently.
Yeah.
And so that's what.
Do you have any like pods that you listen to like on a daily or
Yeah, I have a few podcasts that I listen to a lot. So I mean, of course, Joe Rogan. Let's be real here.
Yeah,
exactly. Joe Rogan, similar setup. You know what I mean? Similar vibe on my podcast.
Yeah.
Then there's also this podcast that I listen to called A Photographer's Mindset, and that's I just had him on my podcast a couple episodes ago, and his name's Seth Macy, so you guys can go check that out. Really good podcast. I really enjoy it, and that was the first time I felt like my podcast became legitimate. Like I'm reaching out to another podcast host, and he's going to come on my podcast. Yeah, exactly. So hopefully cross people's platforms and stuff.
Yeah.
And this is like
that's what it's for.
Yeah. Then when you hit me up, I was like, oh, I'm never on this side. And if you go downtown Merced right now, it's completely transformed. Downtown Merced, it's all like one way now too. It's wild, and just the Tioga, El Cap, even Burners down there. Just like all these newer buildings.
And it's restoring something that we kind of had back in the day. Remember when back in the day when they had like the farmers markets and all that? Yeah. Like a lot of those farmers markets used to be packed.
Yeah. And then even like when of my parents like went to, because my parents are born and raised in Merced too, and they used to like just cruise downtown. Everyone just drives downtown on Friday. Just like you ever seen that movie that's based in Modesto that George Lucas did?
Yeah. Where they had like the old pull up diners.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but they were just drove around the whole night. You just hung out and drove around. But they're kind of bringing that back because we were downtown at El Capitan having food there the other day. Then we went over to the Mainzer and we ended up we're just hanging out in their game room. And then a whole bunch of nice cars started driving by, and it was like, man, this feels cool. Like, it's like a night on the town, but it's like transformed. And I think just from like the last 4 or 5 months, just Merced's just blooming.
How's the food at the Mainzer?
The Mainzer, dude, I love the food at the Mainzer. I love the food at El Capitan. Okay. It's just like it's different. It's different than. It's not like you know what I mean? It's like they have actual cooks that are out there who design these recipes that taste different but good. And I like it. Like it's a little more expensive, but what do you expect? It's not going to be Applebee's, but you know what? It's going to taste a lot better than Applebee's. It's going to be a better environment.
Yeah.
So the Higher Grounds is a collaborative group, and we started off doing a lot of nature-based stuff. Hiking videos, and this was all stems from our dream job. The first thing I hit up Jimmy to do for in a collaborative process or collaborative effort, and so that was kind of based around nature. I wanted to create a nature show. We kind of continued that on, but through the Higher Grounds, and then we got to a point where we're like, are we really all about nature? Do we really want to just do stuff about nature? And that's when we started doing more stuff for ourselves. We tried to figure out ways to make money. So we started doing weddings. We started doing short films for ourselves. We started just doing music videos and stuff that we wanted to do. And so this thing that started out as this whole nature-based show is transforming into just basically a collaborative effort of anything that we like to do. So we have a new short film coming out. We're still in the writing process of it, but we've got the idea and everything down. So we got a new one coming out about, it's like going to take place in the 80s.
Okay.
Then we also just, we're going to use it as a portfolio to show people like our commercial work. So we've done commercials for places, we've done work for Merced County Health Department, and this is all like individually through each other's names, but it's always a group effort. And so it's me, my buddy Jimmy, my buddy Daniel, and then our buddy Duffy, who does a lot of the like audio stuff. And it just whoever wants to be a part of it. We have people who like, there's this rapper named Our Soul and Iron Chef we've been doing a lot of stuff with, and you just kind of get the vibe from people. And when you want to work with people, and if they like what you do, they appreciate your work, you appreciate their work, it's just a little better of a working environment.
That mutual respect.
Yeah, mutual respect, mutual understanding of how long this editing process is going to take. Some people don't understand. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Like, yeah, like it's funny because like, yeah, I go take good pictures, but it's funny. I don't think of myself too much as like a great photographer. I mean, I think of myself as like, I really think I'm a great editor. You know what I mean? And it's like the old school way of photography. I think it's like you have to have everything in camera perfect, and you should strive to do that. However, it's not the case all the time. And now we have the technology that where you can make this like its own art piece, its own design, its own style. And that's what's different about photography, now compared to even like 15, 20 years ago. Back then it was just like, very basic edits. Now it's just like you can create something. Yeah. It's still a picture, but you're creating it.
Yeah. Your imagination can run wild.
Yeah.
You don't have to just be in a box.
Exactly, yeah. So now it's just basically us, doing what we can to make some money. We're going to, eventually want to get incorporated, get a little corporation going on and stuff, get a media company. But for now, we're just building our clientele, and just looking forward to the future.
Well, you got a lot of great content, so I can imagine you guys are gonna have some buyers pretty soon.
Yeah, exactly. And we're getting recommended people. We got business cards coming out,
Awesome.
And so I'm just excited for the future. We got the next month booked out, and this is the first time we got a month booked.
That's awesome.
Of like things that we're gonna have to work on, and so it's just like we're gonna get through this month and then kind of reassess and then try to attack it at the fall.
Yeah.
In the fall.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I've always had a YouTube channel, and I posted some videos like a long time ago. Like I did a review on this video. I have like some random videos, and it's funny. Like I have this backpacking review on Higher Grounds, and it has the most views, and it's just like it's like I get it because reviews get more stuff, but I did a review on this one, and it has like a lot of views compared to my other like videos, and it's just funny to me that like, what ends up taking off. So I've always wanted to have a YouTube channel, and it wasn't until the pandemic and me like getting to that point in my life of. Like, I don't care what my friends think or, like, what anybody thinks. This is what I want to do. And I'm only going to get better from here. So, I just, like, so through the pandemic, I grew as a person more than I ever have in my life. Okay. And a lot of people didn't, and I feel bad for, everything bad that happened. But for me, it was, like, one of the best years of my life. I grew. I found out what I wanted to do. And I'm just so thankful that I had the opportunity that I could every day wake up and, like, what am I going to create? You know what I mean? Like, you got to do something. Like, you got to fill your time doing something. So... just a lot of, like self-diagnosis, trying to figure out what I want in this life, and then just attacking it in a way that I think I could actually, make a living. And so it's just growing every day. And so I started my YouTube channel basically in January. I was like, I'm going to start a YouTube channel, January 2021. And my goals for that year was YouTube channel, podcast. It was to run 600 miles, but let me tell you, these other two take up a lot of time.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So I started in January, and then it just snowballed with having a lot of my podcasts in it. And I want to have like podcast clips, but it's just so much work. I have my buddy Duffy who does the audio of it. I do all the video editing, make all the promos and everything, and just like every week, like the thing I love about substitute teaching is that it allows me to work on my craft while I substitute teach. Like high school students, like everything's in Google Classroom. They're all focused on their computers. It allows me to take time to work on my craft, and so I'm thankful that I have a job that allows me to work on my passion while I'm there.
Dope. That's dope, because a lot of people don't have that.
And I understand.
So that's awesome that you're able to kind of kill two birds with one stone.
Exactly. And like I'm making money while I'm working on my own craft, and then sometimes I'm working on making.
And who knows, you might find a student in there that's kind of interested in what.
No, exactly, and I want to eventually be a teacher. However long it takes honestly, like whatever. that one was a little different. Me and my buddy, we wanted to do like a space short film, but then we just ended up not being able to get all this stuff by the date that we're going. We're going on a trip with our girlfriend, so we didn't want to. We couldn't like make it all about this short film because we would get too wrapped up in it. And so, but I wanted to take like night photography pictures in an astronaut costume. I just pulled the trigger. I spent like $70 or maybe $80. A little too much, but on this whole astronaut costume, I had wearing my white snowboarding boots, astronaut costume. I bought an astronaut helmet, and like it was a day before the trip, and my fiance got home, and I'm like walking down the stairs. I'm like, oh, perfect, and like I'm walking downstairs in my full astronaut costume, and she was like, what the hell is this? And I was like, it's my astronaut costume. And she was like, oh, you're so ridiculous, and like the whole time we're like going on this trip, it's like in this box, like taking up like a lot of space in our Jeep, and she was just like, I can't see out the back window because your stupid astronaut costume, and I was just like, hey, it's gonna be good, it's okay. And so that one was a little different. So that one we didn't really have necessarily a script for it or anything. We were just like, let's get all these dope shots. And so we just started filming. Jimmy was filming me while I was running around in the Alabama Hills, and the Alabama Hills is used for a lot of movies. So a lot of space movies, a lot of cowboy movies, anything that's supposed to be in the desert. It's used like an Iron Man. It's used everywhere. There's like the good, the bad, the ugly. A whole bunch of things were filmed there.
Yeah.
And so it just like is the perfect environment to do something. And so we just filmed this little thing, and we had me walking around and everything. We didn't have exactly a plan of what we were going to do. And then it was really when I got behind it and editing, and that's where the story came. And it wasn't not that there's too much of a story, but it's just like a little sci-fi thriller of like just things that like. Basically, it's like me climbing to a mountain trying to get signal, and then the whole thing is it's like filmed in 60 frames per second, and just slowed it down. It's things like knowing the angles, knowing the establishing shots, knowing what you need to do to make like a good, well put together anything. Like a film, a script, a song. You got to really know the pieces of it.
Yeah, definitely.
And so I think it's like. So that one was a little more like run and gun, but we enjoyed that one. But we also did a short film that was a Western. Yeah. And that one was like, we wrote the script for it. We like planned out the shots. We did so much prep work for it. So when the day of the shoot came, it was like we like just knew what we were doing. We get close-ups of us walking up, establishing shots, mid-range shots, angle-up shots. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like just having all these different ones that help put the story together. And it's funny like because you think that a 3-minute short film wouldn't take that long, but it took like 8 hours of filming and then days of editing, weeks of editing. Yeah. Because we do the whole sound design too. We're adding every single sound to that. Yeah. Like that's what I think sets.
Which is a big aspect. Any production you're doing, the audio is huge.
You have to have good audio, and that's the thing that I think sets our stuff apart. That why people like our stuff is just because like the whole thing is like collaboratively together. Like the sound goes with it, the visuals go with it, the intros go with it. Like we'll have times where we're trying to figure out like the right font that goes in. You know what I mean? It's just like the tiny tedious things, and that's why when someone asks you like you finish a project and someone will be like, hey, could you change this? And it's just like. If I have to take that one clip out, I have to move every single audio clip. There's like 40 audio clips, and you know what I mean. It's just like one of those things where it's just like people don't realize how much work goes into these things.
Everything's a moving little piece that triggers the next piece, and exactly. So for sure, I know how that feels.
How I deal with the day-to-day of everything going on is I ignore most of the news. But what I think is that there's like in America at least there's a two-party political system, and it's like how do you have only this choice or this choice in America? There should be like more choices. And I feel like the far right is making like extreme, they're extreme, and the far left is so extreme, but like 80% of America is like right dab in the middle, and it's just that's really like what it comes down to. So there's people who are going to watch the news every day, and of course you're going to think the world's ending if you do that, or they're going to think that like everyone needs to be canceled because everyone needs, all these things. And it's just like if you just want to care about humanity, care about society, that's what we should be focusing on. We should focus on health, mental health, just coming together as a nation, and not like this whole like that side versus this side. And I just think that, since I've stopped, like I used to try to care about politics And then, but I was like on the left, and then I was like, it got to a point where like when you're looking at all this stuff, you're like, okay, like you guys are going a little too hard. This side's going a little too hard. Like we just have to like, I don't care what your political beliefs are or what your religious beliefs are, but it seems like now more than ever people are talking about those things. And it used to be like, you know, like I remember like my grandpa used to say like, one thing you don't talk about people with is their religion and their politics, because that's your own personal opinion, and it's great whatever your opinion is. Yeah, I don't care, but I just feel like
it's being shoved down our throats.
Yeah, at the end of the day, just be a good human being. And that's what I feel. That's what I feel like I want to spread in the world.
Yeah,
just
can
like
we
be
keep
decent.
that message right there?
Yeah,
just be a good human being.
Be a good human being, you guys.
And trust me, all of us, none of us are perfect.
Oh,
we all
no.
have a past. We all have done things that we're not proud of.
We're all gonna mess up in the future, but mistakes help you grow. And as long as you can reflect back and grow from those mistakes, whatever, like you're working on yourself, and that's all anyone could be doing.
Yeah, and I love that you touched on the mental health side of it, because that is huge in today's society.
Yeah,
you know,
and I think a big factor of that is that the technological advances that have happened within the last like 25 years are like so much more than the 25 years before. Yeah, exactly. So we got to a point to where like people were bored, and then your mind tries to think of things to do. Now we get to the point where we're never bored, or we're bored while we're being entertained, while we're being stimulated on our phones. And so I think that with the rise of like all these technological advances came the rise of all these mental health problems as well. And you know, I think that just back then, you know, hard times create like people who like can deal with those times, but they also create easy times, and easy times is like what our generation was born into. And now we're worrying about things that we necessarily shouldn't worry about, like cancel culture, or like what this one politician said, or like, I mean, obviously we should care about those things to a certain extent, but it shouldn't be as polarizing, and at the end of the day it shouldn't affect your daily life. I guess just figuring out, if you're into something, don't be afraid of what your friends, family, what anyone thinks. Just start doing it. Start doing it more. You know, if you want to get into videos, start filming videos. Don't post them. You don't have to post them. You know, your first 100 videos aren't going to be good. I'm still like, you know, I look back at a video I did like a month ago, and I'm like, man, I could have done that better. But at the end of the day, if you're doing what you love, then I think that's the most important thing. I feel a lot of times you get, you know, misguided and misdirected in things just by what society is putting on you. And I think that if you're passionate about something, and if you really want to get involved in it, then just go for it. Don't care about what other people say, because at the end of the day, your opinions, I mean, other people's opinions matter, but your opinion is the one that's going to drive your life. So, you know, if you can figure out at a younger age what you really want to do and focus on that, it's going to get easier. And if you figure out what you think you know what you want to do, and it's not what you want to do, don't let it affect you too much. Just try to get into something else. I majored in like 6 different things, you know what I mean? Ended up in education. Now I'm doing film and photography. So. Someone that motivates me. So I'm not going to talk about Jimmy a lot, but Jimmy motivates me.
Shout out to Jimmy, by the way.
Yeah, exactly.
I've talked to him behind the scenes, and he's a cool cat, man.
Yeah.
Very cool.
So Jimmy motivates me. My fiance motivates me. Just since I've started like doing what I wanted to do, or what I feel like I should be doing, I've had more support by my family, friends, people I don't even know. Mm-hmm. So I feel like once you decide what you want to do, and people see that you're happy doing it, they're going to start supporting you. Mm-hmm. And so just like my mom and my dad, my family, they've always been like, you know, pushing me to like be myself. Yeah. And I can't thank them enough. My fiance, of course, she's always supportive. Like she's so supportive, because I think like if like at the age of 27, me and Jimmy are like making the short film, we're getting cowboy costumes, doing all this stuff. We're waking up for filming, and you know, our girlfriends are always just like, "Have a great day," like, you know,
very
like,
accepting of.
Accepting. Like, we're ridiculous, you know what I mean? Yeah. But it's so awesome that they support us, and I just. Shout outs to, you know, anyone who supports me and the craft that I do, because that's who motivates me. Just one person saying, "Hey, listen to your podcast." I don't care if you listen to like one episode or all the episodes. I'm just thankful that you're listening, because this is what I love to do, and I mean, podcasting, photography, videography. This is all what I love to do, and I'm so thankful that I can do it, and that I hope that I can do it as a career, and I am working to do it as a career.
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say you're on a good path. Yeah, for sure. And you're very much trailblazing, in a way. Like I said, you're doing things different. You're not you're like how we were saying, even though you kind of have like a Joe Rogan setup, it's very much your own setup too. It's very much you have your own flavor on it.
And it's funny because it grows. Like every episode, something happens. It grows. Like it started out just very basic. Then I upgraded the lens, got a little neon sign that I put up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then just things grow and grow. You have your first musician on. You have more musicians on. Yeah. I start doing intros to these guys. I'm start mixing it up. I'm gonna get I'm trying to start set up an area right here where they're gonna stand and perform. Okay. And then try to come around with 2 cameras and kind of get like a little freestyle.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
So
awesome.
I mean, it grows itself, and I'm just excited to see where it takes itself because I feel like I'm just behind it. I'm obviously I'm working on it, but each episode just seems to bring its own thing. So I'm excited about that. What drew me to wanting to put on for the 209 in general is just the fact that if you're raised in this whole area, you just have people all the time talking about oh, I can't wait to get out of here, I can't wait to leave this place. And maybe for a while it wasn't the best place, but I think that it was just the attitude of most of those people. And I just think that no one's come out the 209 talking about hey, we got to represent this place, we got to we're cool. There's so many cool artists here. There's so many cool musicians, talented people, just great people in general. And I just want to show, the world that, hey, the Central Valley is cool. We're the forgotten part of California.
For sure.
Everyone thinks about LA, San Francisco, north, the coastline, and stuff, but they don't think about the Central Valley, and that's where 50% of our food comes from. And so it's just hey, I know that we're spread out here a lot, but we can come together for events and for things. And it's just that I don't think there's anybody been pushing that before. And I started just wanting to push it. I started wanting to really, and it's one of those things. It's I didn't even know I wanted to do this till I started this podcast. And then I started the podcast, and it's just I get more drive by every single person I talk to. You just feed off their energy, and I just am so thankful that I get to feed off all these people's energies, and it helps me push towards my goals. So I want the Diaz brothers are really popular. They're the only ones I know who represent 209.
Yeah, the hardest.
Yeah, exactly. But we want to why can't we have that same support that we have for the Diaz brothers for our musicians, for our local artists, for, this community-based media things. Exactly. Our music. There's a Bay Area movement, there's LA movement. Why isn't there a Central Valley movement? So 2021, let's see. Got a lot of weddings, and we're working with a couple companies that I've been wanting to work with, and so I'm excited to just start new relationships with people, start marketing ourselves more for commercial work, and then me and Jimmy are gonna release a film set place in the 80s, so we got a couple set locations and actual locations we're gonna use. Already got the green light from people.
That's
so.
Awesome.
It's going to play record stores, really, it's going to be kind of like the Karate Kid, but with its own little twist on it. It's a very satire type of comedy.
I'm excited to see
Yeah. So we're going to start writing that. That's for sure one of the things. And then I guess, I just want to finish the year strong, I got some guests that I didn't think I'd even get on my podcast. I'm going to reach out to some more city council members, try to get the mayor on here, and I'm just excited to see where it takes me, because it's just I want to shed light on anybody who's doing good things in Merced, good things in the 209. And so I'm starting with Merced because that's where I'm born and raised, and I have people from all over on, from Tracy, from Los Banos, from Modesto, Oakdale, wherever, you know what I mean? And I just want to put on for the 209, so... So if you type in Micah Diele on YouTube, MICHA'Diele, my whole portfolio will come up pretty much. And so there's going to be all my podcasts are right there. Any solo videos that I do are right there. Then there's also, I do everything with Jimmy, but anyways, also on the Higher Grounds. If you type that in on YouTube, that'll come up. On social media, at Micah, MICHA.Diele. That's how you can find me. There is a Micah Diele, and it is also my profile, but I can't log back into it, so that's my old profile.
I've had those issues. So
yeah, exactly. So Micah.Diele is my current portfolio and everything, and then Spotify, Apple Podcasts, any podcast app. If you just type in Real Talk and whatnot, it'll come up.
Yeah, the links will be in the description.
Yeah, you can find all that stuff right there, and that's pretty much. I mean, you can follow me on Twitter, but I don't really.
Yeah,
I don't tweet, so.
I'm very slow on my tweets, so yeah.
Yeah, me too. I'll tweet a couple times a month, but
if something exciting happens, I'll be like, oh, I gotta tweet this.
Yeah, exactly. yeah. Twitter, Micah Diele, but yeah, that's pretty much all the social places.
Okay, for sure, man. Well, I appreciate you having me here, and I appreciate you coming on my show. You feel me? Man, it was a pleasure, man.
Johnny Boy, I appreciate it.
This is Johnny Boy Lopez, Micah Diele. You already know what it is. It's the End Experiment.
Let's do it.